Hello, I think we are live and we are recording the English classroom, and we have some of our guest speakers with us here today. So whilst we're just fixing the final bits of technology, I'd like to give you all a really warm welcome to the first free teacher training event hosted by the English classroom. I believe we have Manuela here with us today. Give us a wave, Manuela.
Hello, guys.
And we'll hear a lot more from Manuela later in the training event. So if we switch over here to the slides. So you should be able to see our agenda for the day. And you should also have a view of us in the corner as well. So welcome to everybody. I know that some people are still filtering through. We already have a few hundred of you joining us today. And I know that from all the registrations we received, you come from over 30 different countries. So it's amazing to have you all with us here today. Across different time zones, different countries. I'm sure it's early in the morning for you, Manuela. But it's the end of the day for others of you today. So welcome wherever you are. As an introduction, my name is Jennifer Gardner, and today I'm stood in Sweden. This is where we're broadcasting from, and we are broadcasting live. However, you'll also receive a recording of this video afterwards to your email if you want to watch it back. Today's teacher training event is the first event hosted by the English classroom, and it's a very special day with us today because we're celebrating the global launch of our teaching materials. So we're really pleased to have all of you here with us to celebrate today. We are made especially for teachers, and we want you to know that. At the English classroom, we use only the best combination of technology, experts, and educators to create what we call a truly global education. So the idea behind offering a free teacher training event today is to share some of the amazing work that we know happens in English classrooms all around the world every day of the year. We know all of you English teachers have such skills that you want to share with the rest of us. So this is a forum where we can start to upskill each other. We can share our best practices. We can ask questions. And in the future, we'll host lots more free events, especially for English teachers, so we can all improve together. An introduction from me. My name is Jennifer Gardner, and I'm the founder of the English Classroom. I originally come from the UK. I have a history degree from the University of Birmingham and a postgraduate certificate of education from the University of Warwick. In the UK, I used to teach history and English in schools to ages 11 to 18 before I moved to Sweden and I completed a second master's here. I started the English Classroom nearly 2 years ago, and the ultimate idea behind the English Classroom is to offer opportunities to all students everywhere, whatever their circumstance, so that everyone can learn the global language of English. So what is the English Classroom? I know this is a brand new tool which we're launching today, so some of you might be curious. We are a digital toolbox of English materials for teachers and for all types of teachers. So whether you went to university or not, whether you are a native English speaker or not, whether you have 35 years of teaching experience or if you're new, all teachers can benefit from our teaching materials. Our materials are planned by qualified teachers, and they are full courses all the way through from A1 to C2 level. Every lesson comes with really easy to follow teacher instructions and ready-made presentations to share in your classroom with students. So everything's already prepared to support teachers and to save teachers time and money. So because we have everything completely digital, it is a bit new, and it's a completely new concept, but it means that you don't have to make any downloads, you don't have to print any materials, and you don't have to buy any expensive textbooks. And all of our materials are available to start teaching with immediately. If you want more information, you can visit our website, the-english-classroom, behind me here. On the website, we have more information. We have some demonstration videos. We have reviews from teachers who have been testing it. And of course, you can follow us on all our social media accounts for more information as well. So if we take a look at the agenda for today, you should be able to see it in our slide here. We'll start with some introductions to our guest speakers, who I'm really happy to have with us today. Our first training session will be on the topic of student engagement with Reema Malik. Then we will look at who the sustainable teacher is, and that will be delivered by me. And finally, we will look at teaching mixed ability groups, so inclusive teaching with Manuela. And at the end, we will have question and answers and a special offer for you as well. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, you can write them in the question and answer box on the side of the screen, and we'll do our best to answer. Either we'll write written answers or we'll answer them verbally at the end. And you can also find in the handout sections the presentation that we use today, which you can download so you don't have to worry about making notes whilst you're watching. And you can also find a certificate of completion there to download as well. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our first special guest today, Reema Malik. Reema, are you there with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Originally from Pakistan, Reema has lots of experience with multicultural environments since she's lived in Saudi Arabia, New York, Dubai, and now Sweden. She has a bachelor's in business administration from City University in New York, and she's currently studying for her master's qualification here in Sweden. Reema is part of the English classroom team. We're really pleased to have her with us. She contributes with her 6 languages: English, Urdu, Punjabi, Arabic, Spanish, and now Swedish. And she's worked as a second language private tutor for over 10 years with a range of students from children through to adults in New York. So welcome, Reema.
Thank you, Jennifer.
So you're welcome to go ahead with your presentation. Hopefully you can access the slides there. Yes?
Yes, I can.
Good. And I will turn off my camera here. So the floor is yours. Welcome, Reema.
Thank you. Welcome to this topic of student engagement. What is student engagement? Student engagement is the level of focus, curiosity, interest, optimism, and enthusiasm that students display while studying or being taught. Why is student engagement important? Research has shown that engaging students in the learning process enhances their focus and concentration, motivates them to exercise critical thinking abilities at higher levels, and facilitates positive learning experiences. What are student engagement characteristics? Students' behaviors such as attending class, listening attentively, participating in discussions, turning in work on time, and following rules and directions are characteristics of student engagement.
I don't know. Reema, I think we seem to have lost Reema. I'm not sure where she is, but perhaps I can continue in the meantime. For anyone who missed that, we've moved on to what the problem with student engagement is. So student engagement isn't a new problem. It's always been a problem for all teachers in the classroom. But over time, it does become more difficult because students are growing less engaged as they get older. So it's easy to get small children excited, but as they become teenagers, we know that it's a bit more difficult. But also the use of technology like social media, digital media, it distracts students from learning. So not only is it a distraction for them, but they also get used to or they learn to have much, much shorter attention spans. So to keep students engaged for a whole hour in a classroom with no technology whatsoever is becoming more and more of a difficult task than it ever was before. So we need to work really, really hard to keep our students engaged in lessons. And what are the short-term benefits of doing so? Firstly, if you're able to increase student engagement, it really improves their behavior. So to reduce disruptions in the classroom, for example, if you have a student who finds the class too easy, they're going to start get bored and find other things to do. And if you find those students who find the class too difficult, they're not even going to try. That's going to cause problems for you as a teacher. Oh, hello, we have Reema back again.
Yes. I'm sorry about the disruption.
That's no problem. Do you want to carry on where I left off?
Yes, I could. Yes. And now if we can move on to the problem with lack of student engagement.
Oh, Reema, I've done the problem, but we can move on to the next slide and you can take it
Sure.
from there.
So what are the short-term benefits of student engagement? Reduced disruptions in the classroom. Students who do not feel engaged in the learning process act out and disrupt the classroom for everyone. On the other hand, students are more receptive to lessons if they feel interested and engaged in the subject. Fewer disruptions have benefits for teachers in making them more efficient and effective. Teachers get more free time to teach new material thoroughly. Plus, there is a positive impact on how students view and communicate with teachers. Second is achievements. Students who receive good grades have the ability to attain success in high school, college, and university. Third is motivation. Motivation increases students' time on a task, which is essential for their learning and achievement. It enhances cognitive processing that leads to a good study strategy. What are the long-term benefits of student engagement? The first is continued learning. Students foster a love of learning or subject when they enjoy a lesson. They look forward to the lesson, they look forward to studying, they look forward to searching on the internet or in the book. It's a whole cycle. The second is societal benefits. According to National Center for Education Statistics, 4.7% of students in grades 10 through 12 left high school between October 2016 and October 2017 in the United States. As per another study, 1 in every 10 young male high school dropout is in jail or juvenile detention in the United States. Therefore, there is a link between students who drop out and commit a crime. The reason for dropout by these students is that their classes were not interesting, or they had too many absences and felt they couldn't catch up, or they had too much freedom, or they were failing. Instead, students who earn credentials and graduate can impact the economy, including increased earnings, increased spending, increased GDP, increased tax revenues, and lower government expenditures. The third is confidence. Confidence helps students a lot in their future career. Life is all about interacting. If students don't learn how to interact and engage when they are young, they cannot really go out into the outside world when they start work and start a career and learn to engage there. Last but not least, how can teachers increase student engagements? Teachers should clearly state the aim of the lesson. When I was a student in New York, the teacher would daily write down an aim and objective on the whiteboard. This way, there was an aim first, followed by an objective under it, and this way, the teacher can ask students to think and write down about the topics so students can start thinking about a topic in the first 5 minutes in the class. Also, teachers can ask students to draw pictures on the board to explain it. For example, if a lesson is on pollution, the aim would be pollution and the objective would be how can pollution harm the environment. Next is that teachers can encourage students to work in a group. For example, when I was studying English literature course and the teacher wanted us to work in groups, on the first day of the course, the teacher asked us to get familiar with other students, and this is what he did. He asked the first student in the row to call out his name. The second student called out the first student name, followed by his own name. The third student called out the first student's name, second student's name, and then his own name, and so on. The last student had to say the name of all of the students in the classroom in order before calling out his own name. The teacher encouraged us to work in groups while assigning us to work on a certain chapter and presenting the literature. The teacher even asked us to stand in front of the classroom as a group and present together. Another example is a recent assignment that I worked on within my university with other group members. My professor told us to take responsibility as our expertise. One of us was good in leadership role, the other was good in planning, one was good in communicating, and one in verbal presentation. And this is how our assignment got a good grade because each of us was in a role based on our own expertise. Next is playing vocabulary games with students. Teachers should throw vocabulary games into their lessons to encourage competitiveness. Even better, active vocabulary games get the blood pumping at the same time. This makes lessons more enjoyable and memorable for students. Moreover, games make lessons stand out from the ones that are based on a more conventional lecture-based approach. Next, tell a story on the lesson. Use real-life examples on how your lesson is relevant to the students or tell stories of amusing mistakes you have made in the past. Stories and experiences help learners remember. For example, how throwing waste could harm and pollute the environment. Even teachers should ask students if they remember making a mistake and how it leads to pollution. The next tip is assign students to research topic for next class. Teachers should not be afraid to think outside the box. Just because the traditional teaching styles are the oldest, it does not mean that they are the best learners today. Teachers can send students with independent home research tasks so the analysis and the problem solving can take place in the classroom the next day. The next tip is to support students with special learning needs, and Manuela will describe this in detail. The next tip is a range of activities for different types of learners. I came across a post from one of our ambassadors from the English classroom yesterday, and I saw that the teacher asked the students to pour water from a jug into a glass. Now, these are little activities that make a lot of difference in the lives of students. Next, a tip could be visual stimulation. Teachers can prepare colorful lessons with images to add memory for their students. To give an example, when I was teaching adults in the United States and helping them with English as a second language, I asked them to look at visuals. For example, if they had to memorize the number of stars in the US flag and the number of stripes, I showed them a picture of the US flag so they could remember what it was and how many stars and stripes were there, and they could look at it and memorize it better rather than having to just read and then memorizing it. So these are some of the tips how teachers can increase student engagement. And thank you for the floor. Back to you, Jennifer.
Thank you very much, Reema. Can you hear me okay? It was really interesting to hear about student engagement, firstly about the problems that we have, but also how we as English teachers can fix it. So thank you for that. I apologize for the technical issues in the middle. Obviously, it's amazing that we can have so many people connected from so many different places today, but it does come with some technical issues sometimes. So thank you, Reema. And if you can stick around, if anyone has any questions for Reema, you can write them in our Q&A on the side of the page and we can ask them afterwards. So thank you very much. Moving on to the next part of our training session today, it's the sustainable teacher. This is a little bit of a new concept. There are a few different definitions about what the sustainable teacher is, but I'm going to take you through it step by step today, talking about who the sustainable teacher is and how we can all become one. This is a topic that is quite close to my heart. As I mentioned, I am educated as a teacher, and I was a teacher in the UK. But when I moved to Sweden, I undertook another master's degree at the University of Umeå on the topic of gender equality and society. And this is something that I'm really, really quite passionate about. And for anyone who's read my background story on our website or who signs up to receive blog posts, you will have received this into your email. You know that my main goal with the English classroom is to extend the opportunity of equality to as many people as possible in as many parts of the world as possible. And that's really where the idea of the sustainable teacher comes from. So this next section is more of a reminder for all of us as educators that it's our responsibility as educators who have contact with young people every day. It's our responsibility, and our goals should be more than to just get them to pass exams. We need to give them the life skills that they need in order to prepare our students to become responsible citizens and positive